We are a tanker owner. We have been in this business for many, many years. My family has been in shipping for 100 years. And I started the company approximately 16, 17 years ago, initially with dry bulk. And then later on, I moved into tankers. So right now we have Aframaxes and we also operate a VLCC. A lot of our vessels are on time charter to oil majors. And because we have been outside of the dry bulk sector for 10 years and we exited close to the peak of the market, we see that this is a good opportunity to re-enter and buy dry again at a very attractive entry point.
How many vessels in the fleet currently?
7.
And how would you grade business at this point?
Well, I'm an optimist by nature. And I think that the worst is behind us, especially for the dry bulk market. And the demand for seaborne trade has been increasing by 2 to 3% a year. We're seeing a lot of changes in the political environment. And I think with Trump, he's going to be a lot more pro-business, which means, lower taxes, better for earnings and for future investments. He's going to stimulate the economy by $1 trillion in infrastructure projects. So that's going to increase the demand for commodities and raw materials. That's good for shipping. And then he's going to try to deregulate, which means that the banks will be more flexible and we'll be in a position to lend again. So these are all positives for GDP growth. And as we all know, shipping is highly correlated to GDP, to world GDP. So these are all positives.
You mentioned financing. Earlier today there were some very interesting discussions around institutional finances and also private equity. What's your take on those two beasts?
There's a scarcity of finance. The traditional lenders are not there anymore. A lot of banks exited shipping. Private equity moved in too fast. Some of them got burned because they started investing, 6 or 7 years ago, and now they're running for the exits. But there will always be alternative sources of finance, so new sources of capital will come in, and they will try to bridge the gap. There is approximately $200 billion of funding gap, and somebody needs to finance all those ships. So I'm sure there will be newcomers coming from Asia. We hear a lot about Chinese leasing companies, pension funds, and other sources of equity and debt.
Last question, and it's a two-part question. The first question is, on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being outstanding, how do you regard trading prospects on the tanker side for 2017? And the second question is, what do you believe will be the toughest business decision you'll take in 2017?
Good questions. I would say 7 for my bullishness on tankers. I always want to be a little bit cautiously optimistic. But I think over the longer run, in 18 and 19, I would say 10. Try to modernize the fleet. So sell the older assets and buy younger assets. And sometimes the old assets are cash cows. So it's difficult to decide whether to sell them or not because they earn good money. So that will be the tough decision to make in 17.